status of those markets with their repricing risks Central Europe in terms of wealth levels. In 2009, national economic integration. Central Europe during the last 10 to 15 value chains. Middle class. However, that prevents the creation of serious external imbalance. Funding will and should. Such a setting will allow economies with income levels well below simple supervisory mechanism that is not very inclusive of support mechanisms of the Euro. There is a good argument why all EU countries
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we've heard very inspiring statements, first by Mr. Stepic and then Chancellor Fajnman. I'm grateful for that. I'm honored by the invitation to participate and the possibility to contribute with my direct participation to the success of the traditional Vienna Economic Forum. I'm certain that it will underline further the motives for strengthening of the EU and the common European prospects for the future. The topic for vadis Europe corresponds to the current economic developments that integrate science, politics and economy, and in which everyone is trying to respond from their own angle to the issue of goals and relevance of the European Union comprised of 27 member states. However, the common trait is to become more competitive in the long run, and it affects candidate countries. All of the Europeans recognize their common interest in having a strong Europe and a sound euro. Thus, no issue is currently more important than the issue of the Eurozone crisis. Eurozone crisis has demonstrated once again that no country can stay aside. Everyone has to check and adapt policies to extreme conditions and global economic trends, and to implement policies aimed at sustainable growth. Interdependence of the banking institutions and economies requires stronger oversight and accountability. It seems that the common European rules and goals are of utmost importance for the survival of Euro. For that reason, we are having so many debates on should the EU become more federal or where Europe is headed in general. With the unresolved crisis, Europe is still lacking motives that once moved it forward towards unity. And the challenges it faces range from its demographic profile to its deindustrialization, from weaknesses in the educational system to the reduced investments in research and development and international competitiveness. There are challenges that only the united Europe can overcome. Europe needs new pace, an impulse that will not only help overcome the common fear of Eurozone collapse and its consequences, but blow new wind into the sails of the united Europe as well. Europe needs more than unity initiated by fear. It needs a clear vision that will strengthen it again as a community of nations united in diversity, which represents a significant actor in the global development in general. A vision that will make it exactly as it always wanted to be, especially in the last half of a century. And that's what we aspiring countries want to see. But what is that something? Which path is the one that leads Europe forward? So the challenge is double: how to overcome the financial crisis and how to create a safer future through improved management. In other words, what is necessary is a greater cohesion and financial solidarity. More Europe that implies strengthening of the common institutions, as opposed to Europe that is closing in. Would the closing in of Europe be justified because of the current economic challenges? I believe no. The European values of freedom, democracy and the rule of law represent universal values, and open societies and economies, together with the cooperation networks, represent model for the future. For Europe based on sustainable democratic fundamentals, Europe adapted to the 21st century. Ladies and gentlemen, despite all the challenges and dilemmas, fears and expectations, The European dream and awareness of the necessity of EU membership are not fading away in the countries of South and East Europe. The EU is not an irrational issue of prestige and desire, but a realistic need to be a part of it. Not only in terms of status, but also from the point of view of the values. The politics from Brussels and of the member states, Austria for instance, deserves significant credit for it as it makes the European dream live and feasible. In this context, the regatta principle does not seem fair from the aspect of individual membership, recognition of individual results, but also from the aspect of creating realistic expectations among those who are yet to overcome some challenges on their road to membership. A successful example in European integration is always necessary, for the European Union and for us who strive to join it. For the EU, because it represents continuity in the enlargement policy, one that has been one of the most effective European policies insofar, and to us, because it confirms our commitment to integration of all the geographically and culturally related parts of Europe into a whole that ensures better quality flow of goods and people, better economic cooperation, strong incentives to further development, valorization of our economic, cultural and historic specificities, strengthening at the same time the security of the overall region through the actual strengthening of mechanisms for the fight against all forms of crime. In one word, a safe home that we all aspire to. But making ourselves better and more prepared, more organized, and from the structural point of view, more competitive, not only for the sake of European membership, but primarily because of ourselves, as we contribute to the strengthening of the European structure. I am very pleased that in the past years, faced with numerous challenges in the country and at the level of foreign policy, we have shown that Montenegro deserves to be the current example in the set of success stories. We have confirmed a full commitment to the strengthening of regional dialogue and stability of the region of Central and Southeast Europe, as well as its progress in economic and social terms, which I personally see as a prerequisite, but also as a good mechanism for the implementation of more general integration, processes that our society as a whole is aimed at. What seems especially important in this respect is the existence of a two-way relationship of support and partnership. Why is that? Exactly because of the difficult economic situation that EU and countries of Europe are facing. But even more than that, because economic challenges bring along a whole set of other ones, including the political dilemmas. In other words, the challenges that Europe is facing are sending us many signals. They are showing or indicating what kind of Europe awaits us and to what extent it will be unified in specific policies. Even in times when it is subject to the greatest test since its establishment, Europe is actively cooperating with us, which proves that it is growing and that it has the intention to grow, not only in territorial terms, but in depth as well. That is why Europe is part of us, and we are part of it too. I am certain that we will use the opportunities before us through our individual and joint efforts and activities regarding implementation of relevant policies and forms of cooperation in this region, in which we foster common values to create the prerequisites for improved quality of life for all of us. That is beneficial for all, for Europe and for those who will come after and continue to contribute to its heritage. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.